Okay, let's unpack this. We've got a stack of source material here delving into something pretty wild. The science of body manipulation and programming.
Yeah, and we're talking beyond just, simple physical changes. These sources explore claims about influencing memory, controlling physiological
Even
function.
altering human capabilities at a really fundamental
Okay.
level.
Exactly. So our mission for this deep dive is basically to walk you through some of the most striking claims in these sources.
Highlighting what the material says about how this manipulation is allegedly done, it's definitely a dense topic.
And these are extraordinary claims, absolutely. We're just presenting what the source material describes here.
Right, so diving in, one of the most intense ideas claimed in these sources is around creating, well, incredible memory.
Yeah. The sources talk about physically scarring the brainstem electronically as
Uh,
a method.
Electronically scarring the brainstem.
Hmm.
What's the supposed logic there?
Well, the idea presented is that this physical trauma forces the brain to, overcompensate. A bit like how a muscle grows after injury, maybe, leading to this claimed radical memory enhancement.
And what's fascinating, or disturbing maybe, is the claim that this was supposedly used to create, what, whiz kids?
Whiz kids or compute kids, yeah. People with purported photographic memory supposedly needed to handle these huge computer systems.
And they name names, or rather places.
They do. The sources mention specific locations like NSA facilities at FDIP Meade, even Area 51 as places this was allegedly applied.
Wow. Okay, and it didn't stop at just memory capacity, did it? There's more.
No, the sources claim these individuals were also programmed with something called an intergalactic language.
Intergalactic language.
Okay.
That sounds out there.
It does. But the sources try to ground it, linking it to old NASA research projects from the 60s. They suggest those studies were a cover for programming with this claimed language.
They even cite movie symbols, like from Lawnmower Man.
Yes, and note an alleged similarity to SI code, hinting at this machine-like structure being imposed.
That's quite a leap. And scarring wasn't the only method claimed for memory stuff, right?
Correct. The material also mentions hypnosis, drugs, torture, even using the effects of DID, dissociative identity disorder. Brainstem scarring is just presented as the most, let's say, extreme version.
Okay, so moving from memory engineering, another core idea presented is what the sources call split brain programming.
Right. Building on the concept that the brain's hemispheres can function separately. And the source claims this research was done on unwilling humans before it became publicly known through people like Roger Sperry.
Which is a heavy claim in itself.
Definitely.
This time, instead of naming the word, I want you to point to the word.
Again, Joe sees two words simultaneously. Bell goes to his non-speaking right brain. Music to his speaking left brain. When asked to point to a picture of what he saw, he chooses Bell. But when asked why,
Okay, why'd you pick that one?
Music.
Music?
and when asked to
Why music
explain,
up there?
It was music and bell, and it was a few minutes ago. Last time I heard any music was coming from the bells out here,
Uh-huh.
banging away.
The bell's
Yeah.
outside here.
So, look, good enough answer to me.
what's extraordinary is that Joe's speaking left brain concocts a plausible story of why he pointed to Bell, even when some of the other pictures more obviously represent music. Gazzaniga believes this determination to find cause and effect, this desire to explain, is the left hemisphere's most marvelous property.
One of the unique things to the human brain is this need to interpret why two events occurred. What was the antecedent to this? What caused this? And if you can imagine that a species like us that has that little chip in its brain that asks those questions is going to survive rather well, because it's going to figure out more about the nature of the world than a species that doesn't have that.
So programmers allegedly developed techniques to address or program just one side of the brain while the other was, say, shut down or getting different info simultaneously.
That sounds incredibly complex.
Yeah.
And invasive. How was this splitting supposedly done, according to the sources?
Well, they describe some pretty disturbing methods, like forcing eyes open to show different films to each eye at the same time,
Oh, wow.
or injecting drugs into one hemisphere to temporarily shut it down while programming the other, even speaking into one ear while the other gets confusing noise.
And the goal of this splitting?
The claim is that this method creates distinct personality fragments, or alters, allegedly associated with specific brain sides.
Okay, and there's a deeper layer mentioned, too. Something about occult philosophy.
Exactly. The material explicitly links this technique to occult philosophy, suggesting the goal was to allow programmers access to claimed non-logical or, intuitive states by essentially bypassing the logical hemisphere.
So the alleged manipulation isn't just mental structure or memory, but extends to controlling the body itself.
That's a huge part of it. The sources really dive deep into the mind's alleged ability to control physiological functions. They reference research into biofeedback, like Barbara Brown's work, as maybe a starting point for these more extreme claimed applications.
Right, so they claim that through programming, the mind could influence things like what specifically?
Things like heart rate, body temperature. The sources even claim making one side of the body hot and the other cold simultaneously.
Seriously?
That's the claim. And triggering the production of specific chemicals like histamine on command. The hypothalamus is pointed to as a key area, supposedly leveraged by programmers as a bridge between the programmed mind and the physical body.
And you mentioned specific body programs. What do those claim to be?
Yes, the sources list various body programs, and they're quite specific. Alleged outcomes like causing auditory problems, digestive failure, even feigning death.
Feigning death. How would that even work?
The sources claim these programs can be activated via codes or by triggering trauma memories. And get this, trauma supposedly embedded not just mentally, but physically in the body's cells.
Cellular memory triggers. That's unsettling.
Deeply. And the sources make this extraordinary claim that medical personnel and even hospitals are somehow involved in facilitating this and repairing damage from the programming and torture.
Okay, that leads us into some really far-reaching claims about tech and genetics.
Yeah, the sources mention integrating implants, allowing a sort of claimed terminal man access to computer data. They also talk about using virtual reality, maybe combined with chemicals like pheromones, as mind control tools.
And there are warnings cited about VR.
Yes, citing concerns that VR could destabilize identity, potentially even create multiple personalities.
And then there's the genetics angle, which sounds like something straight out of sci-fi.
It really does. An appendix in the material makes this truly extraordinary claim about genetic engineering being used to create a subspecies called Amphibious man.
Amphibious man, capable of breathing water.
That's the claim. It suggests this is a current hidden technology used for military purposes, like SEAL teams for assassinations, presented publicly as fiction, like in Waterworld, or just as early experiments.
How would that even be possible, according to them?
The sources claim it involves studying how different animals handle underwater environments and then manipulating human genetics for things like creating denser skin, among other things. It's a huge leap from memory alteration.
Definitely. And finally, among all these claimed techniques, music apparently plays a role too.
Yes, the sources claim music is used in programming, stating that dissociated tones, beats, specific frequencies like heavy bass and rock music, for example, are claimed to alter brain waves.
To do what? Induce hypnotic states?
Induce hypnotic states, bypass conscious thought, even affect body chemistry and the pituitary gland, according to the material, presented as this powerful, almost insidious tool for embedding commands or triggers.
So, wrapping this up, what does it all mean? I mean, these sources paint a fascinating, if frankly disturbing, picture.
Absolutely. Alleged attempts to scientifically manipulate and program the human body and mind using this claimed combination of extreme techniques, technology, even genetics.
And we really only scratched the surface here, just touching on the claims about memory enhancement via physical means, splitting the mind, controlling the body through cellular triggers.
Integrating advanced tech, the whole amphibious man genetic engineering claim, using music, it's a lot.
This deep dive into the source material certainly offers a lot to consider about the claimed potential and maybe the vulnerabilities of human biology and consciousness.
It really makes you think, if the mind and body can purportedly be influenced and reshaped in the ways described here.
Yeah, it raises a huge question. What limits, if any, truly exist for human manipulation?